Hi, welcome to this tutorial where today we're going to look at the Configuration API for MicroProfile. The Configuration API allows us to load configuration properties from three different places. We can load them from a configuration properties file that's held within the project, we can load them from environment variables, or we can load them from system properties. Each one of these has got a different priority, and MicroProfile will pick the property with the highest priority. So the example that we're going to look at today is using the TomEE application server. We're using the latest version, which is version 8 M3. So what we've got here is a simple JakartaEE application. There's no dependency at the moment on MicroProfile. All we've got is a simple REST controller that just says hello. So if we build that and run it using the Maven package TomEE run command, we'll see that that just runs up and we'll have a simple web service that just says hello to us. So while that is booting up, if we just execute the curl, and there's just TomEE's running, so we'll execute that curl, it just simply says hello back to us, which is what we've got in the code. Now to use the MicroProfile Configuration API, we need to edit the pom.xml and we need to add a dependency. So we'll add a dependency on the MicroProfile Config API. Now that we've added a dependency, we're going to use CDI beans, so we also need to add a beans.xml to the project. So we'll add a new file. And we'll call it beans.xml. So the beans.xml does nothing special, it's just a plain standard beans.xml that we have that tells it to recognize all CDI injections within the application. Now within our controller class, we need to add some code to inject the configuration properties. So we'll use the standard @inject from CDI, and we'll inject a config property. We'll call the config property application.mode, and we'll give it a default value of unknown. Let's run the application and just verify we get an unknown application mode. So as usual, we'll just run it with the standard Maven TomEE run command. So we can see we're getting the unknown value back. So MicroProfile is returning the default value because we haven't defined any other values. So let's add a value that it can return. So the first way of doing this is to create the MicroProfile config properties file. And we'll create that inside the resources folder. So inside there, we'll create a file called MicroProfile config properties. And in this file, we'll add a simple value application.mode equals dev. So what we're doing now is we're adding an additional value which should override the default value. So let's save that file, run TomEE again, and just verify that this time we get the value dev back instead of unknown. So what you can see there is that the actual value has been used rather than the unknown value. Now the next stage, we can check that TomEE can accept environment variables. So to use an environment variable, we just need to set it in the shell and then start TomEE again. What we've done here is we've used the bash shell to create an application mode environment variable. You'll note that the casing and the underscore are slightly different from what we called it within the file. In the file we called it application.mode in lowercase, but in the environment variable we call it application underscore mode. This is the standard to create environment variables in uppercase, and MicroProfile is clever enough to convert between the two. So let's start the application up again. And this time, when we curl the command, we expect to see the mode QA. And there it is. So we're returning the QA mode even though the internal property is set to dev. That's because of the precedence, and MicroProfile is picking the property with the highest precedence. Now finally, we can set an application property. We can do this in TomEE by modifying the pom.xml file. So within the configuration section, we need to specify an argument. So we use -d application.mode equals prod. So we're running within the production environment. So let's save that, restart TomEE, and validate that the mode is now production. And there we go, production. So what we've seen here is the MicroProfile Config API and how it can load properties from environment variables, from system variables, and from properties files. All of these have been injected into our application via the standard CDI inject annotation. I hope that was useful. If you've got any questions or comments, please leave them below. Until next time, thanks, bye.